I have been super busy with my mother-in-law today and my granddaughter, kind of watching after them, so I haven't done a lot today. But this is something I've been wanting to do, is get out here and separate some of this stuff that I have in the middle of my floor. So I'm separating. That has quite a bit of wire in it. My heavy wire from my really super light wire. So this is my really light wire. Not a whole lot of copper recovery in here. Very light. I'm guessing I'd call this my 40% maybe, I don't know. But it's real light wire. There is literally not a lot in there. So I'm trying to separate my really thin small wire from my heavier gauge wire, which would probably be my 60% wire, except for this. This is actually a piece of bare bright. That's my bare bright. And I have a pile for that too, which I haven't got a whole lot of. Turned it mostly all in. I do have a bit of number 1 and a bit of number 2. And I have a bucket down here that has a bunch of that in it too. So I'm just going to try to separate my wire. I have a whole bunch of extension cords here I need to separate. Got some pretty heavy wire here, so I need to separate my heavy from my light, because there's a big difference and you don't want to bring them in together. You got a 40 and a 60% basically is what I've been finding. Or is the heavy wire 80%? I'll have to figure that out when I go to the scrapyard. But I just want to take this bucket right here that has both of them in it and separate it. Because it is a little bit mixed up. A couple of these wires I would consider to be the heavier gauge, 80%. And then I got really small. This is a small, super small wire right there. What I'll do is keep my light wire here and keep my heavy wire here. This super light. I mean, there's nothing there. Super light, super light. Take that, I'll put that in that bucket. Not a lot in there. So I'm gonna go through this bucket right here. I'm gonna cut off my tape. Cut up, make sure my ends are all cut off. This is definitely heavier wire than this. Big difference. Let me get my tape cutting knife here. Alright, so got some tape on this stuff. I don't want to send it in with tape on it. So I'm gonna cut it off. Get rid of the trash. Oop, I need to get a trash bucket over here, guys. Trash bucket. Oh, there it is right here in front of me. Don't need a trash bucket at all, actually. I'm gonna separate all this goodness from the badness. So I got this bucket right in front of me. Might as well start with it. This is my heavier wire. Much heavier. Some of them I don't have to cut, actually, if I just cut it at the piece of tape. Some of them I can just cut off. Doesn't matter to me how short they are, as long as I get that tape off, because if they see that tape, they'll downgrade me. The last thing you want to be done is downgraded on wire. And if you feel like it's going to take too much time to get rid of that tape, you don't have to do that either. But if you have a block sitting right next to you, Might not take but a second to get rid of it. Throw the trash in the trash. Separate the cash. Definitely have some good copper in these wires. Good copper. You want to make sure all your tape's off. And there's no ends on it. That's a hard piece of plastic right there. See, that to me isn't worth it. And I'll end up putting that right into my shred pile. Small wire, there. If it's small, there's hardly anything in it. I'm not trying to sell it to the scrapyard. Small, thin, tiny. See, these ones have ends on them, which are brass. So I'll have a dirty brass here because it's got plastic on it. Pull off my piece of tape. That wire has one like little tiny wire that goes through it and an end on it. So that's how I separate mine. If there's any clips on it, cut off my clips. Whatever's holding them together. Make sure that there's decent wire in them. These are probably borderline. Borderline, some of them. If it's borderline, I will throw that into the small. If it's got quite a bit of copper in it, I'm throwing it into my heavy. Had a phone call, had to jump off. This bucket does have a few miscellaneous items in it. Now this piece, that piece of aluminum here, I don't even know why it's in that bucket, but I have my aluminum in there. It's almost full too, matter of fact. But tonight I'm just separating these heavy duty wires. This is heavy duty. Goes in your heavier wire. You can look inside and tell whether it's got good wire in it or not. Just by looking at the end there. The most important part about separating wires, see, these are different wires, all of them. That white one has good wire in it. That white one there has very little wire in it. But it has an end on it, so I'm gonna cut that off too. And I'll keep this right here in my dirty. That'll be dirty brass. So fine wire. That's pretty fine. We're all pretty fine, really. They're borderline. Borderline. So I'm just gonna sit here and process stuff like this tonight so that I can just be done with this. Trying to finish this pile right here. You can tell. See, these wires feel a little heavier. You can tell what's fair and what's not fair. And you want to be fair to your junkyard. All them wires are pretty good. There's more copper than there is plastic. You can tell the difference right off. If you're looking at these, you can easily tell what you're looking at. Doesn't take but a look. It's pretty nice. The only thing you want to make sure is get rid of all your stuff. That's all I'm doing tonight, guys. I'm going to sit here and go through all of this wire that I have, including these extension cords. I'm gonna cut the ends off of them, put them where they belong, because I have a whole bucket of extension cords over there. Separate and separate. If these ends have plastic on them, they are generally, to start with, a little piece of brass in there. You can either sell it for dirty brass, or if you just don't know, throw it in your shred pile. Just throw it in your shred pile. But I used to throw stuff like this away all the time. I mean, I would just let it go. I'd throw it, literally throw it into my shred. All of it, this whole pile, I would just throw that in my shred. There wouldn't have been no way that I would have messed with any of these wires at all. And then one day I had so many, and I said, you know what? I'm just gonna cut the ends off, throw them in a bucket, see what happens. And yeah, when I brought it to the scrapyard and I made like, gosh, it was like $45 off. No, I had a 30 pound, what I have, 35 pounds in a bucket that I had smushed down and just brought them in. And I made like $1.25 a pound for it. I was like, holy smoke. So since then, I've always taken these wires off. Do I run these little things through the stripper? No. Could I? Yes. Am I going to? No, I'm not. If I didn't get much scrap, if I just got a little bit of scrap, and I didn't get a crap ton of it, then I would. Look at there, see that right there? That's a little brass end. And for now, I'm just putting them right there and separating my wires. My little brass ends will go in the bottom of this bucket when I get to it. And the bucket's empty, except for them, I'll take care of it. I just want to get this processed. Make sure no ends are on there. I just want to get these wires processed and out of the middle of my floor, so I can say, yep, they're done, they're ready. Put them in a bucket. When the bucket gets full, bring it in. I'm telling you, at like $1.25 a pound for this stuff, I'm keeping that all day long. These ends right here, these little pieces right here, I imagine I could sell that for something, but since it's small, it still has copper in it. So I'm gonna send, since it's got so much crap on it, I'll just go ahead and take that and turn it right into my shred pile and let them separate it down the road. But these little brass ends, I keep them all. Keep them all. Just get rid of as much tape as you can. Even these ones that have the stuff on it, if I don't know what that is, I'll send it right into my shred pile. I mean, it all adds up, I guess. Better than throwing it in the trash, which is what I was doing at one time. So I finally got finished. My wife had doctor's appointments. She goes to the gym every morning, does her workouts. So I watch Mom in the mornings some days, and today was the day. She's here spending 6 months here with us from New Jersey. She's been here for 3.5 months now, so she'll be here for another 2.5 months. She's going back home in March. 95 years old. You've probably seen her a couple times. Her name is Helen. And while she's been here, any drawing that I had, I let her pick it out of the hat. See that? It's got that big old plastic on it. Just throw it aside. Throw it right in your shred pile. Right now there's some shred in there, so I'm kind of throwing it in there. Stuff like this, I save every bit of this stuff. I'll throw that aside because that's going in Scrapping with Scorpions box, and I have that right back there in the corner. And when it gets full, which I already have a couple of them outside, Scrapping Scorpion, yeah. When it gets full, I'll bring it outside and put it with the rest of it. So yeah, if you want to learn a little bit about what I do with my wire, Stick around. This is it. I'll fill that bucket eventually and bring it in. I'll fill that bucket eventually and bring it in. That bucket won't pay as much as this one will, but it all pays. No sense in throwing away money, boy. I used to throw it right in my shred. I can't even believe it. If I had back all the wire that I threw into my shred pile, oh my God, I would have made some serious cash. I bet they loved seeing me when I really didn't know or didn't pay attention. I'm just learning too with everybody else. A lot of this stuff I'm just learning. And the way you learn is by doing it. And then after you do it, somebody's going to comment on your video and tell you what you did wrong or what you did right. So from what I understand, there's some copper in these things. All I'm worried about tonight is wire. Oh, I got a motor in here, for crying out loud. What is it? Oh, it's aluminum. Crappy old aluminum motor. I'm gonna sell these as motor weight. Oh, whoa, glad that fell out, didn't fall on my foot. I'll end up selling them as motor weight. Everybody's telling me that even though it's aluminum, they'll still give me motor weight for it, which I don't think is that much, and that's probably why. That's some super thin wire right there. Sometimes you got to look at it though. It will surprise you. Yep. Excuse me. Separately, that's another bucket I'll be going through. Get rid of the trash. That can be sold as shred. From what I understand, there's a little motor in there and I can actually see the copper. To be honest, it's just not enough copper for me to mess with that. So I'm not going to. I'm just gonna get out of here, shred. Big jumble of whatever, I'm not gonna keep it. Here I got a transformer, I'll sell that as transformers. When I scrap that out, that will go back into my transformer bucket. Some number 2. Number dirty brass. I have a dirty brass right there. So these things will go into my shred. And yes, I'm moving stuff from one bucket to another, but I'm trying to empty this one first. When this one's empty, maybe I'll start on that one, or after I get my floor cleaned up. But these are dirty brass. I'm going to put them in my dirty brass since it's sitting right next to me. Nice piece of number 1. Oh, I'm hearing raindrops outside. All right. So this bucket is so close. Yep, raining. I'll throw that in shred. It still has metal on it. I'm not gonna throw it in the trash, that's for sure. Shred. Got some copper here. With some contacts. I'm not sweating them contacts, they're small. I know Silver Scorpion probably, Scrapping Scorpion probably would, but I don't. I'm gonna throw that right into my number 1 copper. Not mess with it. Okay, separate these small from the big. That's pretty much trash. I'm gonna call these dirty brass and little plastic pieces. I'm just calling it dirty brass right now, because that's what I feel like I got there. Oh, let's see what we got at the bottom of this bucket. Dirty brass. Garbage. Dirty brass. Dirty brass. So I've been cutting them ends and letting them drop to the bottom of the bucket. Now I'm going to grab them out, throw them into my, it's actually I have clean and dirty in there, copper. These can be prepared steel. Any nuts and bolts, I'm pretty sure, can be considered prepared steel. Some places do anyways. I don't mess with it that much. But these little ends do add up on the brass side. And they'll be in that bottom of that bucket when I'm done, right? They'll be right there waiting on me. All right, so that bucket's empty. Go ahead and take what I got down here and put it into my number 1 and number 2 copper. And then I'm gonna probably get a bucket so I don't have to keep doing this if I find any more. That is not Bear Bright, it's number 1. That is number 1. That is number 2. That is not Bear Bright. Number 1. Number 1. These they're calling dirty brass. So I'm gonna put them in my dirty brass for now. I'm thinking I might end up cutting them out open when I get enough of them. But like I said, I'm not here for any of that today. I'm here for one thing. And that's just to get this wire cleaned up. Whether it be 40% or 60%, it's got to go. This is, looks like a heavy duty speaker wire. I know that's gonna be in the bigger bucket. Drop that right in there. Most people are going with them wireless things now, so I'm not going to be using that. Some good wire in here though. And there's some small wire, so that's why I'm here, separating this stuff out into two different buckets. And that's kind of why I'm just sticking to one thing tonight. It's wire until I got it done. Actually not until I get it done, because that's 1, 2, 3. I got 4 buckets of it right there. And 2 of them are big drums. So I probably won't get to that, but I would like to get to what's at my feet. I would like to get to what's at my feet, because this stuff's just hanging out on the floor. And that's not where I want it. Not where I want it. Good copper in there. Boy, them tapes can be miserable. They really can be miserable sometimes. And I will literally just have to cut around them because they're hard to come off. But I try to get them all off. You definitely don't want them to see, oh, that should have went in my shred. You don't want them to see anything like that in there, because they're gonna give you the least. For whatever you have in that bucket, you're gonna get that. If it's a piece of that and you got a whole bucket of this, and they reach in there and see that small stuff, they're downgrading you right now. They're just downgrading you. Don't want to be downgraded. Boy, that thing right there is close enough to be stripped. I don't know if I'd run that through the stripper or not. It's really got some nice copper in there. Let's see if it was worth it. Oh, started to cut. Boy, that's a nice copper. Nice copper, guys. It might be worth running through there. It's still only going to be number 2 because it's not very thick. See how really fine thread that is? You're not going to get number 1 out of that. It's always going to be number 2. Unfortunately, just because it's thin hair, they don't get a lot of copper out of it. But that was big enough to strip though. There's a couple in here like that. There's a couple of them in here like that. Excuse me, but yes, I am going to smoke. So these were Christmas lights. I know that is thin junk wire. Christmas lights aren't going to yield much copper at all. So if you have any of that Christmas light stuff, I'm going to put that in your find. I'm not taking some of this stuff with me. If you want it, come and get it. He literally called me. Wow. I went over there 3, maybe even 4 days in a row just picking up stuff. Just picking up stuff. And yeah, this is the stuff that I got. And that's been, gosh, these came out of my storage building recently when I went to my storage. It's literally been 6 months ago that I went to his place and got all these. So that's how long I've had it and not messed with it because of being busy. It come to rain. 10% chance of rain tomorrow. Left-handed Paul and I are going to do some T111 siding, and this is a cable wire apparently. Cable wire is shred. If you get any cable wire, like cable TV wire, do not mix that into your wire pack. And you can cut the ends off because you might get a little piece of dirty brass out of that. But don't throw this into your extension cords because they won't like it. This is pure shred. I need another bucket. That one's full. Pure shred. All them wires down there, I'm stripping. Here, I'm gonna strip it. For the size of that, there is not a lot of copper in there. Oh, look at there, a Canadian plug. Look at that. So from American to what I believe would be Canadian, right? Canadian. I guess you could plug 110 into this Canadian cord. This is like if you went to Canada, your wall plug, I believe, would be a prongs like this. Am I right, everybody from Canada? Answer that question for me. Thank you very much. But yeah, that's a Canadian, and this was American right here. So you plug the Canadian and can still use it. Very interesting. But I'm not keeping it. I don't have any plugs like that. I'm gonna cut the brass off and keep the shred. Piece of shred. These buckets that I'm throwing here beside me, yep, I'm gonna have to do it again. But that one's full, so I'm gonna quit throwing these little transformer things in there. Just go ahead and throw them in this one bucket. I got a bunch of them. They all have copper in them when I micro scrap them out one day. Just not today. We got here a battery charger. But I do not have the power thing for it. Has some old trash in them. Oh yeah, these batteries are junk. I don't know what's in there. I'm willing to hold on to it. Oh, look here. Got some nice, clean aluminum. Clean aluminum there. And a lawnmower blade. This you want to save for heavy steel. That's considered like a bed frame. HMS is what that would be considered. Heavy metal steel. And I'll put that where it belongs later. I'm going to be doing a video, obviously. Charade. I'm going to be doing a video, obviously, of what do we have here? This is mostly cast aluminum. A couple screws there to take it apart. I have no idea what that might have even been. Looks like you would put something in there and punch it out. That thing would just punch it through. What's it say on here? Disc doubler. Disc doubler. So apparently that's literally just a tool that you would put a disc in. Don't ask me. I'll micro scrap it later. Heck, I think I got a brand new one in here. Look at here. Yeah. Well, AC adapter. MW. Don't know what that means. Don't care. This is guaranteed light duty. Barely any copper in that. That's some pretty copper on the end of that. I mean, brass on the end of that, though. Look at that. Purdy, purdy. There's 3 runs of wire that goes down through there, but let me tell you something. Trying to get that out is a joke. God bless America, the home of the free and the brave. Eggnog. All right, everybody, I decided that I will make this video here, but I'm going to finish this video on my iPhone, or I won't have time to get my video out for in the morning. Takes a lot longer to go from my GoPro to my computer and then downloading than it does for me to just take my phone and make a video. So for the rest of this box, I am literally going to do it on my iPhone so that I can get this video out in the morning. So this is the video you're going to be watching next. What's next? What's next? What's next? Scrapping with Grandpa.